What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video, and we are back with yet another installment of 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After. This is now season 8. So if you guys did not see my latest video that I did about them, I'll link it in the corner here. But there has been non-stop updates with regards to what's been going on with these couples. First off, we have Gino and Jasmine. I always like to bring them up first because it's getting ugly. So they've managed to quit arguing just for a bit when it comes to money. After Gino's family was kind of indirectly involved because of Jasmine, that's when they decided to just chill. And it also was kind of awkward watching Jasmine bring up their intimacy struggles in front of the family as well. I was like, oh girl, that was not necessary. It really wasn't. I was like, this is so awkward. And I'm sure they felt awkward listening to them argue as well. Well, they didn't really argue necessarily, but you could tell that there was discord between the two of them, because why would you bring up intimate details about your relationship if you're not, you know, yeah. It was just really weird. But she now claims that Gino has a corn addiction, because I can't say that other word, but you know, the one that starts with the P. And Gino is just looking at her like, I just like to watch it because I don't feel that connected to you. However, he's been saying that for quite some time now. Even before she came to the US, he was saying that it was the things that she would say to him and how she would hurt his feelings like super deeply, and now he doesn't really feel like he could be intimate with her in that way. Now, even though I do understand Gino to a certain extent, I think I would have to push him a little bit on that, because it's just like, it could be also that you're becoming addicted to watching you know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could also play into it. If she's seeing you watch it a lot when she's right there in person. She's not in Panama anymore. She's right there. You're in the same room and you're trying to tell me you're not getting jiggy with it. Like, it's not really making sense to me. But you know, I can understand obviously when it comes to getting in the mood, how that, you know, the arguing and all that stuff and things that Jasmine would say in particular, it could cut deep. So I could understand Gino to a certain extent. But Gino decides to finally just use his credit card to pay for the pageant for Jasmine. So Jasmine's a little happier now. She's in a better mood, sort of, it seems. But they do have an argument before that I think kind of led him to just go ahead and use his credit card. But again, I don't understand why Gino can't just go back to work. You know, like, you wouldn't have to be doing stuff like this. You would have money. She'd be happy. Like, it's not really, anyway. But regardless, he uses credit card. She's in the pageant now. Whoop-de-doo. Before that though, it was very interesting watching them. I guess Jasmine had said at one point that you're not really a real man because you're not providing, you're not taking care of me, especially financially, and also intimately as well. But we're not going to go there. That was a whole other situation, but that could tie into that as well. She brings up that, and obviously she says it in a very like condescending way, like, you're not a real man. And I was like, wow, Jasmine, ugh, what a way to get him on your side here. Gino, he turns around and says, no, you know, I'm not gonna take that, because if you were a real woman, you would have been like by my side, like supporting me and stuff like that, and you know, you wouldn't be argumentative and you'd be understanding. I don't know if that's all of what he said, but specifically the non-argumentative part. And then Jasmine, trying to be smart, she's just like, well, why are you with me then? And he was just like, yeah, I don't know.
Real men are providers.
Let me tell you what a real woman is. Not argumentative, angry, and bitchy.
So what you're doing with me then?
So that was an awkward conversation that they had, because I think they were actually looking for a washing machine at the time, and I'm sure the people in that store was just watching them super entertained, like, what is going on? I thought y'all was looking for a washing machine. They're now looking for dresses for her evening wear segment of the pageant. They're bonding, they're having a good time, it seems. And I think Gino even picked out a gown that I think she really liked because it had like a butterfly on it or something. They seem to be having a good time. But then they get to Florida for the pageant, and that's when things kind of go downhill. So they have their first rehearsal, and Jasmine gets a few pointers, a little bit of feedback from the coach, and she seems to take it all right. But you know, the coach just like, you know, you smile, it's a little bit, it's not as natural as it could be. And then also something with regards to her posture and how she like carries herself on the stage. But at the time when the coach said it, it seemed like she was okay with what was said. But when Gino decides to take some notes and videotape some of the girls or the other women that had, I guess, better posture in a sense, or at least the coaches had said had better posture and walked a little bit better, that's when Jasmine just absolutely loses it, because she's just like, why are you recording other women? So because of that, and then also Gino giving his feedback on what he thought she could do better as well, it just went completely left, and that's really not how he wanted her to take it, obviously. But she starts calling him a pervert and unsupportive, and I'm like, how is he being unsupportive? He's actually more invested than a lot of these men probably would be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a pageant, for crying out loud. Obviously he's not gonna be that interested. Like, he might look around and be like, ooh, these are pretty women, but I mean, in terms of him actually being that invested in you actually winning the pageant, usually like men aren't probably gonna be that invested. They'll be there to like clap for you and say, yay, you know, that's my wife. Overall, like, he's way more invested than your typical husband, I feel. So I feel like Jasmine just took that in a completely crazy direction. But again, it's Jasmine, and I'm not really all that surprised.
And now, if you improved in a couple areas, like your posture, you would be the best.
I could understand her feelings just a little bit, because she is pretty insecure about herself already, and we saw that leading up to this. So Gino, I feel he wasn't necessarily giving the most positive feedback along with the criticism. There was a lot of criticism, but there wasn't really a way to sandwich the criticism for Jasmine. So that's why I think, yeah, he could have probably delivered that a little bit better. It was, I feel, coming from a good place, but Jasmine didn't really take it that way. So I understand both sides, but that's kind of where we are with Gino and Jasmine. Manuel and Ashley, they returned to New York. They're back home from New Jersey visiting Manuel's peoples. And Ashley decides to take Manuel and go to see a lawyer about a post-nuptial agreement, because obviously they didn't have any agreement, like a prenup, in terms of before the wedding. So she's looking for a post-nuptial option. And then Manuel, because there was a translator in the room while Ashley was talking to the lawyer in English, the translator says to Manuel, when Ashley confirms to the lawyer that her debt is looking like around like 100K, Manuel was like, what the hell is this? You know, because the lawyer was trying to tell him like, her debt becomes your debt because you're married. So he's just like, I didn't sign up for all of that. Like, 100K? For what? Now, obviously, she had incurred a lot of that debt because of student loans, but I think Manuel didn't really fully understand like how that kind of works. But after that is when Manuel is now asking for even more money after the $1,000 that Ashley had given him to give to his family. He's asking for another $300. But then when she asks why, he just says it's not important, as if it's not Ashley's money that she worked hard for. I'm trying to understand why she can't ask you and get an actual response about where the money is going if she's the one giving you the money.
¿Por qué ellos necesitan $300?
No importa.
Ashley sabía que cuando se casó conmigo, enviar dinero a mi familia en Ecuador.
I don't get it, especially when she's your wife. Like, it's really crazy to me how he acts like she is not married to him. You know, it's really strange. Ashley also kind of finds out that he's talking to his ex-girlfriend, more than likely, it seems. We haven't confirmed it just yet, but more than likely he's using this phone, according to his friend, to talk to his ex-girlfriend back in Ecuador. This is the ex-girlfriend that he has kids with, but it's more so on an intimate nature. He's actually sending possibly money to this ex-girlfriend, sending Ashley's money now to this ex-girlfriend, and also using the phone that Ashley is paying for to talk to this ex-girlfriend. Wild. Let's move on to Rob and Sophie. So things are obviously getting worse after their whole sex store fun date goes horribly wrong, mainly because of Rob. I don't know where the heck that energy came from. Everything was on the up and up until that little date situation, and then I was just like, oh my god, Rob, like, you take one step forward and like 3 steps back. I don't understand what's wrong with this man. Like, he's a child and he's supposed to be the older one in the relationship. That just shows you how age doesn't really matter matter. It's about actually being mature, you know? But anyways, so Sophie is now again not living with Rob, and Sophie and her mom Claire and also Rob end up going out to dinner, and it ends in Rob basically insulting Claire, and she leaves crying. And I'm just like, oh no. Obviously, I understand how Claire could be a little immature, because she, even though she's obviously the much older adult in the situation, again, age doesn't matter. Maturity is what matters. And I think in Claire's case, she acts like she's a teenager. I feel like because she hasn't really had that many successful relationships in her life, that it kind of pours over into Sophie. Even though I do think with Sophie's case with Rob is very much so not the one. Like, I don't think he's the one for her, to be real. I still think that at the end of the day, that when it comes to how Claire has been handling giving Sophie advice about their situation, it comes across as very high schooly. Sophie and Claire, they end up coming back to see Rob at the house, and Rob gives Sophie this plushie and he thinks everything's going to be okay and all right. But then Sophie still kind of delivers the news that she's going to be staying with her friend for a little while, because things still aren't really right between them, and that's pretty obvious. But Rob seems to be the only person that doesn't see that for some reason, and he thinks that by giving her a plushie toy that everything is just magically all right. I'm trying to figure that one out. How is that actually transferring in his brain? You know what I mean? It's not making sense. So Rob obviously kind of gets angry when it doesn't really work out the way that he thinks it's going to work out, and then he brings up to Claire that Sophie was eating his granola bars, and I was like, how did you make the connection that bringing this up right now was gonna make you look better in the situation? You know what I'm saying? Like, I was trying to make that brain connection. Honestly, I think Rob, the way his brain works sometimes, it's very interesting to watch those gears kind of turn but not make sense. I don't get it with him. I think he just needs to be by himself. Kobe and Emily, we finally get things rolling with Emily's parents. They give Kobe's family the list of things that they require before the traditional wedding. Kobe's family brings everything, including the goat that the dad had asked for, and they discuss the bride price, which was just a couple of dollars in US money, but that's kind of what the family could afford. But of course, Emily's mom was still having issues with that whole bride price situation. She was good with the transferring of gifts, but when it came to the bride price, she was like, yeah, even if this is a tradition, this is not my thing. I don't like the idea of potentially giving away my daughter for a goat and for money. I kind of shared my feelings about that. I really do think it's just tradition. It's not that deep. Like, lady, please chill. So regardless of all of that, their wedding day comes, and you know, they're getting ready. Emily, I think, in my opinion, looks great. She was definitely giving me some major hair inspiration. I was like, ooh, I think I might be trying that, okay? I don't know where I'm gonna get those beads from, but I will make something shake, okay? Kobe's sisters, they come and get her, and they take her to the hall that they were having the wedding at, and everyone's having a good time. They get the blessings from their dads on either sides of the family. Now, with Emily's dad, he was throwing a little bit of light shade about their living situation. He was like, yeah, please, a big house, like something like that, you know, get a big house, please. But it was like fun shade. It wasn't anything too deep. It was funny. But then Kobe's friend Valerie comes in, and no one really knows what he's about to say. And Emily and Kobe are pretty nervous, but more so Emily, because it's just like, are you here to be supportive or are you here to knock us down? Because Valerie, again, throughout this entire season, has just been showing us episode after episode that he is not supportive of Emily and the relationship she has with Kobe. He doesn't think that Emily could make Kobe happy in the long run. And I'm just like, but you're not Kobe though. You have to take it at face value that he is happy in his marriage and relationship with Emily. As the friend, you need to be supportive unless Kobe says otherwise. Ed and Liz. Ed continues to be the absolute D-bag that I think we all knew he was, but he keeps trying to come across as this ex-boyfriend that still cares about Liz, and I'm just like, my dude, please stop. Give it up. Give up the ghost. Liz comes back to Arkansas with her mom to pack up the rest of her stuff in the house, and they meet the house looking pretty all over the place and messy, and Ed isn't taking much responsibility as per usual, but again, nothing's changed with that. Shortly after that, Ed and Liz's mom end up in an argument, and Liz has to pretty much intervene, and Ed then says that he's worried about her not learning from their failed relationship and that he wants her to be happy with the next man that she ends up with. And I'm just like, that is the most bizarre thing to say as the ex-fiance. Not even just ex-boyfriend, ex-fiance. Y'all were about to go get married and you just seem to not care about it all. You're just worried about the relationship that she's going to have in the future? Like, baffling. Ed proceeds to say that he did learn something. He learned something from their relationship, but Liz didn't. I just personally feel like it was such a pointless conversation talking to Ed at all, because you're literally talking to someone who has now had 2 failed relationships play out on national television. This is not the first time this has happened. Y'all remember Rose? Is it Rosemary? That's how you say her name? Ed and his mayonnaise head. Like, anyways,
he's going to spend the rest of his eternal life in purgatory hell.
Michael and Angela. After Michael gets rejected for the visa again, he gets told that he might have another shot at it if he just lets them kind of make their final decision and wait for like a week or 2 more after they will let him know. So Angela is now super suspicious of Michael, and she takes his phone, she kind of goes through it. She finds this WhatsApp chat group with all these other men in it and immediately starts thinking that Michael is just using her for a green card because of what she's seeing in the chat. She kind of skims through the chat some more and sees this photo of an old woman that they're joking about needing a husband, and then it was another photo of some of her information that she claimed was her tax return. It also had her social and everything on it, so obviously it would be like very personal information, but obviously you can't see it because they're not going to put that on TV. But if that was the case, I don't know why he would be posting that in the group chat. That does sound really weird. He tries to tell her that he was just at a cafe trying to get the paperwork printed, and that's what she saw in the photo. But there was also a photo of something kind of wrapped up and it had looked like money, so she was already thinking, like, the gears were turning in her head. This might be something drug related. What is he doing? Like, you know, her mind was already jumping to conclusions. But then when it came to the thing that was wrapped up that looked like money, it was actually his like internet router or modem or something like that, and he was just asking someone to ship it to him, and he also paid like 8,000 naira, which was like $5.21 in American money or USD. And she just decides after that to still come after him about the paperwork situation and showing these people her information, and she tells him that he's going to be going to jail and she's going to keep the phone as evidence. And that's when Michael just snaps. He finally just snapped, y'all, and he tries to yank the phone out of her hand, and that's when they try to call the hotel security, and Angela starts yelling, and it's just a absolute hot mess. But Michael storms off. He stays somewhere else for the night, but then he comes back to Angela that next evening with his tail, so to speak, between his legs, and just to kind of beg for forgiveness about his actions and kind of make peace. But Angela seems to be more calm at this moment, but basically she has Michael kind of repeat himself when he tries to explain what she saw in the group chat. And then you see her kind of laying on Michael in the hotel bed. But overall, I think that when it comes to Angela, she just kind of loves to rile herself up for no reason sometimes. And it's just like, woman, instead of you just ask questions calmly, chill out until you have all of the evidence. Why just explode right off the rip? I think with Angela and Michael, obviously we know what happened with them later on, but we'll talk about that soon. But y'all let me know your thoughts on all these couples down in the comments. I'll be catching you guys in the next video to give obviously probably the final updates because it's coming very close to the ending of this season. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.